Hey guys, I'm Alexander Jasper-Jay, and today I wanted to touch on what I was talking about in my last video in a bit more detail. I intentionally was very vague in that video, and that's because I want to approach this subject very delicately. Not only because it's emotionally heavy for me, but because it might freak some of you guys out who are on testosterone or planning to go on testosterone to hear that testosterone put me in a wheelchair. Fret not, testosterone is not at fault. My doctor was mishandling my testosterone. Anyway, she didn't know how to test my levels. By that I mean she didn't know the frequency in which she should be testing my levels, and she didn't know how to read my levels, despite the fact that I had provided all of that information to her with a representative of PFLAG present. What the fuck? Anyway, that's not the point of this video. This video, I wanted to address a question I got shortly after uploading my last video, and that question was, I thought when you overdosed on T, it simply converted back into E. And that is true to some extent. Your body has a safety mechanism in place that when you have a surplus of testosterone, it will convert into estrogen. And this is to keep the testosterone from doing too much damage to your system. But when you have such a vast amount of testosterone in your system over such a long period of time, I was overdosing for 3 years, okay? There's only so much your body can do to accommodate for that, and unfortunately, mine couldn't really do anymore. I wound up developing something called polycythemia and something called Raynaud's. And I'll jump more into what those are in another video. I don't have much space or time with this battery on this camera, but I wanted to make this video kind of okay. Yeah, I'm here, I'm alive, I am slowly getting better, and I am still on testosterone for those of you who are wondering. In fact, I did my shot today, and I filmed it, so enjoy me freaking out. So, you may have noticed between this clip and the last one, my shirt's changed, the lighting, the camera angle, it's all changed, and that's because it's a few hours later, and I edited a video while my camera battery was charging, because it drains kind of fast. But I ordered a new battery, so that should be a problem of the past pretty soon. Anyway, not really what I wanted to talk about. What I want to talk about goes back to the question that I received, and I really want to talk about the lack of information that we have out there about testosterone overdose. People don't know how to spot red flags. So, symptoms of testosterone overdose include, but are not limited to, blurred vision, headache, seizures, slurred speech, sudden and severe inability to speak, temporary blindness, weakness in the arm or leg on one side of the body, sudden and severe. I actually had a combination of these symptoms at one point and wound up having to be rushed to the emergency room with a migraine that presented as if it were a stroke. So at 21 years old, I was rushing to the hospital thinking I was having a stroke because I was dealing with side effects of testosterone overdose, even though at that point I had been off of testosterone for 10 days. This is after I was released from the hospital. That was horrifying, and I don't wish that on anybody, so in order to deter that from happening to other people, I want to start a dialogue, a conversation about testosterone overdose, and just really get into it. You know, it's kind of difficult to convey everything around all that mess, because for a lot of it, I was pretty fucked up. The entirety of the time I was in the hospital, I was on Dilaudid, and upon my release, I was still being given T3s. And then there's also the fact that I was feeling very low energy, I was detoxing from testosterone, just was not a great time for my head, felt very spacey. Really just swimming through all that, it's clouded by emotions, and I would really appreciate if you guys had questions and maybe made this more of a two-way conversation instead of just me talking at you, because that feels a little weird. I feel as if the fact that when you are told when you overdose on T it converts back into E, it serves as a great deterrent, because you don't want something that is meant to alleviate dysphoria wind up triggering it. I also feel as if that lack of information can be quite dangerous because you don't really know what red flags to look out for. And unfortunately, that was the case for me. I had no idea what red flags I should be spotting. And honestly, even looking back now, it's difficult to determine. A lot of the mood stuff could have just been attributed to the fact I had BPD. And then you know, I was working a lot, so that's how I wound up dismissing the pain in my feet. Headaches, I was stressed out, like there's a number of different factors there. But all of those together should have really told me something. I also just want to encourage you, if you are not seeing somebody who specializes in trans care for your testosterone, that you, yourself, educate yourself more about your levels and where they should be at so you can be more proactive with your care. You don't want to be like me. My doctor didn't know what the fuck she was doing. I trusted her and I wound up getting really messed up over it. Please be careful. So yeah, peace out, Scout people. I shall see you soon. Bye.